Okay, so let us resume from where we left. We did all these budgets. We learned how to draw up the sales, production, material, labor, manufacturing overhead, finished goods, and CDS, as well as non-manufacturing overheads. Regarding the preparation of pro forma income statement or pro forma cash flow statement or pro forma balance sheet, this is a very long type of budget. So such budgeting is not tested on the CMA exam because like in CMA Part 1, external financial reporting, you are not required to draw up any financial statement or income statement or balance sheet because it is not possible under the exam condition. 75% of your exam is on MCQs based questions, and remaining 1 hour, 25% is on the scenario based question. And of course, you can just show little calculations on that small window text editor. So this is not possible to draw a pro forma balance sheet or cash flow statement or the pro forma income statement. So what you should be doing and what we would be focusing in today's class, we will learn how to draw up projected cash collections, how much cash we will collect under what month. This is very, very important. You are going to be tested at least two to three questions on this topic. Projected cash collection, 2 questions at least, that what the experience tells me. So we will do a lot of questions on projected cash collections and a couple of questions on projected cash disbursement, how much cash we are going to receive in what months and how much cash we're going to pay in the coming months. And combining these two will help you draw the cash budget. We will also draw the cash budget also. So this is the focus of today's class. Why not this? Because capital budgeting is studied in very, very detailed in your CMA Part 2 Section E investment analysis. So now you know the reason that why we will be doing only the projected cash collections, disbursements, and the cash budget. Rest of these are impractical to be tested on the CMA Level 1 budgeting topic. So let us start first with the projected cash collection schedules. Okay, here we go. We have lots and lots of questions. So gentlemen, I expect your patience because this is an extremely important area from exam point of view. So you need to be very comfortable with this particular topic. All right, starting with question number 5. Turnbull Company budgeted sales on account. On account mean on credit. Remember, on account mean on credit. It's going to be 120,000 in July. Let us write this down. 120,000 in July. It is going to be 211,000 in August, and it is going to be 198,000 in September. I'm being too nice with presentations and with the numbers just to make you people understand. But on the exam, you will have very short time. So you can just scribble down. You can just instead of writing July, write J, A, Sep, no problem. No marks for writing because it's just your rough work. So just do it quickly. So I'm just teaching, that's why I'm being a little slow and so on to make sure that you fully understand. So what we have is the July, August, and September. Let's say this is July, August, and September planned sales or budgeted sales. Collection experience indicates that 60% of the budgeted sales will be collected the month after the sale. Now, this is important. You need to understand this collection experience or the collection pattern very clearly. It says that whatever we sell in a month, 60% of that sale is collected month after the sale. If you sell something in January, 60% of the amount will be collected in February and 36% will be collected in the second month, means March, and 4% will not be collected. So that is the way things move. Now, if this is the cash collection experience, the cash receipts from account receivables, mean those to whom we have sold goods on credit, how should or what should we expect to collect in September? How much cash should we expect to collect in September? So what you're going to do just in rough work, I'm just trying to be a little more dramatic when you're doing these questions. Now, what you sell in September, None of this will be collected in September because the September sale will be collected in October, 60% of this. So this means nothing comes from September sale. But within September, remember this is the September month bucket, cash collection bucket. Now what you sell in August, 60% of this will be collected in September, which means 211,000. Let me get my calculator. 211,000 times 60%, that gives you 126,600. 126,600. This is the amount you collect from the August sale. Now, what you sell in July, you will get 60% of this amount in August. And now you will receive the next 36%. What you sell in July, 60% is collected in August. But since we're talking about the collection in September, so now you will collect the remaining 36% in the month of September. So I'm going to take 120,000. 120,000 times 26%, so it's going to give me 3120. So what it means is that the total collection in the month of September is 126 from August sales and 31,200 from July sale. If you add these two, you should get your answer, and it gives you 157,800. Maybe my totaling is not correct. 126,600 plus 31,200. No. What have I? 120, 211, 198. So it's going to be 120,000's 36%. Sorry, that is 43. This is 43,200. Adding this 43,200 into 126,600 should give you 169. So the total cash you collect in September is 169,800, and this perfectly matches with your option A. Right, so you click A and you move on. Okay, moving on. Now, this is a typical question you will see on the exam. It is little difficult because I want to make sure that you do all the easy and difficult questions so that you can manage the questions well. Now, it says historically Pineville Wood Company Products has no significant bad debt experience. So far, no bad debt with its customers. Customers pay on all the pay. None of the customers refuse to pay. So there is no bad debt. Cash sales have accounted for 10% of sales. Now, this is important. Cash sales have accounted for 10% of total sale. Out of the total sale, 10% is cash. And payments for credit sales have been received as follows. And this is the collection pattern. What we sell on credit, the 40% of this is collected in the same month in which we sell. 30% comes in the next month, 25% in the next month, and 5% in the third month. So what it tells me, let me tell you, if you sell in January, if you sell goods on credit on January, 40% is collected within Jan, 30% of the amount is collected in Feb, 25% in March, and 5% in April. Means if you sell in 1 month, the amount is split in the next coming 4 months. So this is the idea. So if this is so, you have to calculate how much cash we are going to collect in May. What is the forecasted cash inflow for Pineville product or Pine Hill Wood products for May, whatever the year is. So what we are going to do, we are going to take first the May figure 85,000. First of all, 10% of this amount is straightforward cash sales, because it says cash sales are 10% of total sales, which means 8,500 is cash sale. The remaining 90% is the credit sale. And out of that credit sale, we are going to collect 40% within the same month, because it says that our credit sales are collected as per this pattern, 40% of credit sales in the month of sale. So what you're going to do, take 85,000, which is the total sales in the month of May, 90% is credit. Out of this 90%, we are going to collect 40%. So what I'm doing, 85,000 multiplied by 90%, that will be the credit sale. Out of that credit sale, 40% will be collected in the month of May. So it's going to be 30,600. Alas, May is over. Let's go one step back. What we sell in April, 10% is cash sales, 90% is credit. Out of that 90% credit sale, 40% is collected within May. Now we are going to collect the 30% of this amount, which means 80,000 times 90%. times 30% will give you 21600. This is the collection from sales made in April. Go one step back. What you sell in March, 10% is cash, 90% is credit. Out of that 90% credit sale, 40% is collected within March as per the policy, 30% is collected in April. Now we are going to collect 25% of this amount. So that is going to make, it is taking time, but I just want to make sure that you understand it well, because you, when practice a lot, you will do it in much shorter time. Done. Do we have to go back further? Yes. What you sell in February, 10% is cash, 90% is credit. Out of that 90%, 40% is collected within February, 30% is collected in March, 25% in April. Now we are going to collect the remaining 5%. So it's going to be 65,000 times 90% times 5%. That gives you 2925. So if you add all these, 8,500, this is 8,500, not 1,000, 10% of 85,000, 8,500 plus 30,600 plus 21,600 plus 15750 plus 2925. So that gives me 79375. 79375. That is your correct answer. When you gain experience, when you become smart, you know what to do. What you're going to do when you become smarter, when you practice a lot, you know that in 85,000 what you sell, 10% is collected as our cash sales, 90% of this will be credit, and out of that we're going to collect 40%. Khalas, you will do the same thing, and in single go you can add all these up. So you don't need to draw these nice buckets and these colorful cash flows. It's just to make you understand. Once you get a lot of experience and practice, you will do it much quicker. So we got our answer. It's 79,375. Moving on. This is again a very beautiful question. I've selected those questions that are little challenging and more representative, so that when you see these questions on the exam, you feel comfortable. Okay, now what this question is all about. It says, Bridge Corporation has the following historical pattern on its credit sales. Okay. It says 70% collected in the month of sale, within the same month. 15% in the first month after sale. That is, if you sell in January, 70% is collected within January, 15% in February, 10% in March, 4% in April. If you add all these, it's 99%. The 1% remaining is bad debts, that the cash you are not going to collect. So if this is true, then the sales on open account means sales on credit, have been budgeted for the first 6 months of the year as follows. These are budgeted credit sales for the first 6 months. It says how much cash we're going to collect in April, right? The cash collection in April. So we are going to cross these 2 months. They are out, just April. All right. It says that if you sell goods in a month, 70% is collected immediately, which means 70% of this amount, 120,000, it is collected immediately. 120,000 times 70%, that gives me 84,000. Okay, then what you sell in March, 70% is collected within March. Now I am going to collect 15% of this amount. 100,000, 15%, it is going to be 15,000. Then what you sell in Feb, 70% of this amount is collected within Feb, 15% in March. Now I am going to collect 10% of this amount, which is going to be 9,000. And lastly, what you sell in January, 70% is collected within Jan, 15% in Feb, 10% in March. Now I'm going to collect the remaining 4% of this amount, which will be 2,800. So these are the 4 cash flows from different months. If I add these all, 84,000 plus 15,000 plus 9,000 plus 2,800, it's giving me 110,800, and which I believe is your option B, 110,800. So that's it. B is the and should be the right answer. Now moving on to the next question. This time information is given little differently, and I will twist this question to make you understand something special from this question, because sometimes you might be required to calculate the balance of account receivable. So how do we do that? I'm going to explain how to calculate the balance of account receivable from whom we have to receive. So we'll do this question from two aspects. All right, gentlemen, I need your full 100% may attention, because I'm going to spend some time on this question to help you understand how do we estimate the account receivable. Because when I wrote the exam, my CM exam, I was asked to find the balance of account receivable. So you need to know how to calculate. It's not difficult, just you need to know how to do it, because there are hardly any question in Gleim, Wiley, or Hawk that explain the idea how to calculate the AR balance. So now listen and look at very carefully. Pleasure Farm is preparing its cash budget for the next year. Sales are expected to be $100,000 in January. It's expected to be $200,000 in February, and it expected to be $100,000, or is it 300,000? Sorry, $300,000 in March, and in April it's going to be again $100,000. Fine. So far the sales are given. Approximately, it says half of all sales are cash. Half of all sales are cash, means 50% are cash and the 50% are credit. Now, this is important information. Now, as per the past experience indicates that 70% of the credit sales will be collected in the month following the sale. If you sell goods on credit in July or in January, you will start collecting the money from February, March, and onwards. So you won't collect anything in the month in which you sell goods on credit. So it says that experience indicates that 70% of the credit sales will be collected in the month following the sale, 20% after that, and 10% in the third month. Now, if I explain the idea, first of all, it says that half of your sale is cash, half is credit. So if you sell $100,000 goods in January, half is cash, 50 is cash, 50 is credit. Out of that 50, let's say if you just break this figure down in two parts, $50,000 is cash, which you will collect immediately. 50,000 is credit, which will be split in the next 3 months. As per the information, 70% will be collected in February of this 50,000. Then 20% will be collected in March, and the remaining 10% will be collected in April, and then this amount will be closed. That's the idea. Credit sale is split in the next 3 months. So that's how we should proceed. So let me erase this so that we can do this question in a clear space. All right, now it says what are the budgeted collections for April? So here we are, what we are going to collect. First of all, what you should do immediately is that what we sell in April, 50% of this is cash. So this is collected immediately. What is remaining credit? You can't take anything because April credit sale, the collection starts coming from the month of May. So it means you're not going to do anything else. Alas. Now listen, what you sell in March, 50% is cash, remaining 50% is credit, and out of that 50%, 70% will be collected in April. So 70% of this amount will be collected in April. So first you're going to take 300,000, 50%, half of it that is credit. Out of this credit, 70% is collected in April. That is going to be 105,000. Right? Now go back one step ahead. February. What you sell in February, half of it is credit, half is cash. The one that is credit, which is 50%. Out of this 50%, which is $100,000, 70% is collected in March. Now 20% will be collected in April. So you are going to take 100,000 because 200,000, 50% is 100,000 multiplied by 20%. So this is what you're going to collect in the month of April. Lastly, we have something we sold in Jan. Let's change the color. Total $100,000 sold, 50,000 is cash, 50,000 is credit. Out of this 50,000, 70% is collected in February, 20% is collected in March. Now we are going to collect the remaining 10%, which is 5,000. So if you just add these numbers, 5,000, 50, 105, and 20, you should get your answer. 50,000, 5,000, 105,000, and 20. It gives me 180, a nice, lovely rounded number, and that makes B to be the correct option. We got it. B is the answer. Now, what I want you to learn, let's say, normally accounting year start from 1st of Jan to 31st of December. But let's say if a firm has a financial year that ends in March, if it ends in March, then what if we are required to find out the balance of our account receivables in March. So what are you going to do? Okay, so I need what is the balance of my account receivable? We got the answer to this question, done. But we are doing something else from this question to understand how do we find the balance of AR. Now you just have to be very careful and look that what we have collected is cash from credit sales or cash sales. What we did not collect is our account receivable. Now let me explain. What we sold in March, 50% of this will be collected immediately in March, right? And 50% of this will be collected in April, which means 50% of this amount will not be collected in March. So this will become a part of our account receivable. Remember, 300,000, 50% is cash, 50% is credit, which will come in April. So which means 300,000, 50%, 150 is uncollected. This is a part of AR from March sale. Okay. Similarly, what we sell in February is 200,000, out of which 50% is credit. That is $100,000. Out of this $100,000, 70% is collected in March. Only 70. It means remaining 50% is yet to be received, which is $50,000. Okay, this will be added to the AR. Then, what you sell in January, $100,000. Out of this, 50,000 is credit, and out of this 50,000, 70% of this amount is collected in February. 20% of this is collected in March. Now we have the 10% which we need to collect, which is 5,000. So if you add this 150, 50, and 5,000, this will give you 205 as the balance of our account receivable. So it's just a little practice is needed. You can take any question of cash collection and you can work it back this way to just find out what has not yet been collected till 31st of March. What is not collected till 31st of March is your account receivable. That's how you can do it. So it's just a couple of questions. If you can practice well, that will be good for you. All right, now moving on. All right, next, let us first do the projected cash collection. We will come on to question 16 later. Next question, I think in sequence is question 17. Now, this is a beautiful question again for projecting cash collections. The Maxwell Company's cash budget for March includes the following information. This information concerns its account receivable. What are we required to do? Determine the estimated cash receipts from account receivables from whom you have goods sold, goods on credit. So you need to see how much cash we are going to collect in March. March collections. Okay, now let us read line by line. Estimated credit sales in March is $300,000. Okay. Actual credit sales for February is 250. Fine. No such information is there we can use to calculate something. Now look at this is the starting point here. Estimated collection in March for credit sales made in March. What has been sold in March, you will receive 30% of that amount within March. So it's going to be $90,000. Next. Estimated collection in March for credit sales in February. What you sold in February, you're going to receive 60% of this amount now, and 60% of 250,000 is going to be 250,000 times 60%. It is 150. Okay, what else? These two lines are over now. Estimated collections in March for credit sales prior to February. We sold some goods before February, so those goods are worth $150,000. So we will receive this in March as well. So these are the three cash inflows. What about the other two lines? Estimated write-offs. These are the bad debts written off in March for uncollectible credit sales. Since this is the write-off, it is not involved in any cash collection. This is the cash not collected. We have already taken what is collected or what will be collected. An estimated provision for doubtful debts, which is also called the allowance for doubtful debts. It has nothing to do with your collection. So this is just given to confuse you. So just add these three numbers, 15, 90, and 150. You get 255. So this is what you're going to collect in the month of March from these different inflows. So it's going to be D. D is the right answer. Now moving on. This was the question 18. Yes. Now look at this. This is a very big question. And if you see a question like this on the exam, the first reaction would be that you will get seriously confused. You will be confused, you will be depressed. I always recommend that whenever you come across a bigger, longer question, it is always required or recommended that you should look at the requirement. It says budgeted cash collections during July. How much cash we are going to collect in July, which means I just need to focus on July sales. I don't need anything related purchase, right? Because I'm talking about collection, so that collection comes from sales. I don't need to be worried anything regarding what are the opening balances or whatever, right? I need to just be concerned regarding the collection pattern of sales, right, like this, and the information related to our collection experience. Now, let's see. It says each month sales are billed on the last day of the month. This information is little twisted. I just need to focus only on this information and on here the credit sales estimated for the coming period. It says that each month's sales are billed on the last day of the month. Customers are allowed 2% discount if the payment is made within 10 days after the billing date. Now, I like to explain this line. It says if you sell something in January, you will not collect anything in January. Why? Because the invoices are created or raised or printed at the end of the month on 31st of January, right? Then it further says that if any customer pays within 10 days, means that's by 10 of February, that customer is given 2% discount, right? After the billing date. Receivables are booked gross, receivables are booked gross, no deduction for discount. 65% of the billings are collected within the discount period. Whatever we sell in January, 60% or 65% is collected within these 10 days. And it says that 20% are collected by the end of the month, means that 20% will be collected by 28th February. This period will give me another 20%, and then remaining 10% are collected by the second month, and 10%, the remaining 65% plus 20, 85, and then you collect 10% in after 28th of February, and it says 5% are uncollectible, 5% goes back. So this information is little twisted. 5% go back. Now what we get that whatever you sell in January, you collect nothing in January. Amounts will start collecting from February. From 1st of February to 10th of February, you get 65% of the amount, but after 2% discount. Remaining from 11th of February to 28th of February, you get the remaining 20%, right? 65 plus 20, that is 85. And then when the February month is over, you get additional 10%, 65, 20, 85 plus and 95. Remaining 5% goes back. Now this is the collection system. And now this is what we have to apply for the month of July and the previous payment. So let's write down our collection budget. So what we are going to do, we are going to first identify the month for which we are going to do the calculation. That is for the month of July, which means August gone. We don't need the units, so we start from here. Now this is a fine question. Now it says that whatever you sell in July, the invoicing will be done at the end of July. Amounts will start coming in August, which means you collect nothing from this. You will receive nothing from July sale, because July's sales will be billed at the end of July. Then what we are going to collect? We are going to collect the June sale. When we sell goods in June, we will start invoicing by the end of June, which means from 1st of July to 10th of July, we will collect 65% of this amount, but we must also give 2% discount. So let us first calculate 436 multiplied by 65%. This is 284, 283, 400. But since this amount is being paid within 10 days from the invoice date, we must give 2% discount. So after giving 2% discount, the amount we collect is 277,732. Alas. Now, next period. Next period is from 11th of July till 30th of July. In this period, we will collect the remaining 20%. 436, 20% will come in this amount. So it's going to be 436,000 multiplied by 20%. It's going to be 87,200. Done. Remaining amount will come in August, so that is beyond our calculation. Now go one step back. What you sell in May, invoicing is done at the end of May. You collect 65% from 1st of June to 10th of June. 20% is collected from 11th of June till 30th of June. The remaining 10%, this amount, this will be collected in July, and that is what we are interested in. So we are going to collect the 10% of this amount. It's going to be 42,400. So 42,400 plus 87,200 plus 277,32. If you add three amounts, you should get your answer 277,732 plus 87,200 plus 42,400. That gives you 407,332. This is your answer. If you ask me, sir, can we get a question like this? No. This question is tough. You cannot get a question like this as an MCQ because it will take time. It is just, I'm doing this so that you can understand the complexity that may be involved, but you shouldn't expect a question like this on exam. This is too tough for the exam. Basically, it's an essay type. There are 4 to 5 questions related to this information, and you have 30 minutes to do. So for an essay type, it makes sense. But for an MCQ on the exam, wallah lazim, that is mushkil question, tough question. So don't wait. Moving on to next question. Now, this is the type of, this is 100% exam type question. Smart, lovely, doable. So let's do this question. Typical exam type question. It says Esplanade company has the following historical pattern for its credit sales. Okay. 70% collected in the month of sale, 15% in the next month, 10% further, 4% in the third month, 1% is uncollectible. We have done a question similar to this one. The sales on open account on credit have been given as follows. We have to see how much cash we're going to collect in October. Our October collection. So our October collection will start from this way. Now it says whatever you sell, 70% is collected in the same month. So if you are selling 90,000 in October, 70% of this will be collected in the same month. So 90,000 times 70% is going to be 63,000. All right, go one step back. You sell goods worth 80,000 in September. 70% is collected in September. Now we're going to collect 15% of this amount. That is 80,000 times 15% is going to be 12,000. Okay. Now, what you sell in August, 70% is collected in August, 15% in September. Alhamdulillah. 10% is going to be now collected in October. So we are going to collect 10% of this amount, which is 7,000. And lastly, what we sell in July, 70% is collected in July, 15% of this is collected in August, 10% in September. Now we're going to collect the remaining 4%, which is going to be 60,000 multiplied by 4%. It is 2,400. So these are the 4 inflows from these months. If you add all these, you should get your answer 7,000, 12,000, and 6,300. And it's going to be, sorry, 63,000. It's going to be 84,400. If you add all these, you get 84,400, which is B.
Doctor, one question.
Sure, ask.
Yeah, usually we will start from down, right? October.
So that makes 84,400 to be your correct option. Okay. Now, this one is a little different from the previous one. It says Esplanade's estimated total cash collections during the 4th calendar quarter. 4th calendar quarter means October, November, and December. So Esplanade's estimated total collections during the 4th calendar quarter from the sales made on open account during the 4th calendar quarter. Now, this question is a little different than others. It says what you are going to collect in a collection system for October plus November plus December only from the sales made in these 3 months. So if October, November, December are involved, how much cash you're going to collect from these 3 month sales within October, November, and December? Idea is pretty straightforward. What you sell in October, 70% of this amount is collected within October, within this period we are considering. Then 15% of this amount will be collected in November. It means this will be collected within the current period we are discussing. And remaining 10% will be collected in December. So it means 70 plus 15, 85 plus 10, 95. It means that October sale, 95% will be collected within October, November, December. So I'm going to write this as 90,000, which is the sale of October. 95% of this amount will be collected within these 3 months. We are talking about October, November, and December. Let's go one step forward. Now you may ask me why we did not go in reverse, because we are just having these 3 months. So whether you move from up or down, it will make no difference, because these are just the 3 months we need to consider. Now, if you take this $100,000 sale in November, 70% of this is collected within November, our month here, and 15% is collected in December, right here. But remaining 10% will come in January. So we are not going to take it. So it's going to be just 85%. So 85% of 100,000, it is going to be 85,000. Lastly, this 85,000 sale in December, we will only be able to collect 70% of this amount, because 70% is collected in the month of sale. So we're going to collect only 85,000, 70%. So it's going to be 59,500. So if you add all these numbers, you should be able to get your answer. And it's going to be 230,000. It's a pretty straightforward whole number. 230,000 is the right answer. So remember, I'm doing it quite slowly just to make you guys understand the idea. But you have to develop speed and accuracy. You can find shortcuts. It's just the method I'm explaining you. But you need to be quick while you're doing the question, so that in the exam you can save time. All right, next question involves cash budget. So we are just first focusing on cash collections. This one, yes, this one relates to cash collection also. This is a little different, so I thought to do this one as well. Now it says, data regarding Johnson's Incorporated's forecast dollar sales for the last 7 months of the year and Johnson's projected cash collections are given as follows. So we have been given this projected sales for June, July, August, September, October, November, and December for the next 6 months. It also tells us that 30% sales are cash, 70% are credit. Out of that credit, out of that 70% credit, collection pattern on credit sales, it says 5% determined to be uncollectible. Out of this credit sale, which is 70% of this number, 5% is uncollectible. What is collectible? It is collected this way: 20% in the same month in which we sell, 50% in the month following sale, and 25% the second month following sale. If this is the situation, we need to see how much cash, or what is the budgeted cash receipts we are going to collect on account for September. How much cash we are going to collect in September. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about September. First, what you sell in September, 30% is cash sale, which is collected immediately, and 70% is credit sale. Out of that 70%, you will collect 20%. See, out of this 800,000, 30% is collected immediately as cash sale. Remaining 70% is credit, and out of that credit, 20% is collected in September. So let's do the working. 800,000 times 30%, that's 240. This is the first amount. And 800,000, 70%, which is credit sale. Out of this, 20% is collected in the month of September. So it's going to be 112,000. September is done. Move one step back. What you sell in August, 30% is cash, 70% is credit. And out of this credit sale, 20% is collected within September. Now we're going to collect 50% of the credit sale. So it's going to be 650,000 total sale, 70% is credit. Out of this credit, 50% is collected now, which is 277,500. Okay, one step back. What you sell in July, 70% is credit. That's what we're interested in, 30% is cash. Out of the 70%, 20% was collected in July, 50% was collected in August. Now we are going to collect the remaining 25%. So you're going to do 600,000 times 70%, times 25%, so it's going to be 105. So these are the 5 inflows which I've just given different colors, but you need to be quick when you're doing the calculations. 112,000, 277,500, and that is possible through practice. When you practice a lot, you will become much more quick in doing the computation. 734, 500, and that doesn't appear to be any option here. So it must be option D. I doubt that. We don't have any number like that. Let me check my calculations. Let me check my calculations. Okay, so there was a little problem in multiplication. The number here is not 277. It is 227,500. 227,500. This is the right number. Multiplying 650 with 70% and then with 50% gives you 227,500 plus 112,000 plus 240 plus 105 gives you not this. It's 684,500, which is B. B is the right answer. All right, moving on. We got it right. This is B. Next. Now, this is again a big question, apparently, and not a question that you will get on projecting cash collection. There are many parts to this question, but what I want you to learn from this question is that look at what is given and what is required. There's so much that we don't need. Karmi Company's total cash receipts for the month of April. How much cash we are going to collect in April? Which means we are only interested in sales and collection pattern, nothing else. We are only interested in sales and collection pattern. So that's what we're going to put our focus on. Just the sales collection pattern. This information given here is totally irrelevant for us. So we are going to see how much cash we're going to collect in April. And this is your month of April right here. We don't need these months. We're just talking about April. It says that companies' total sales are 20% cash and 80% credit. It says that the credit sales are collected this way. 30% in the month of sale, 40% in the month following sale, 25% second month following sales. If you add these numbers, we are still 5% short. And I guess it must be uncollectible. See, this is not 100%. 5% goes bad. It's just 30%, 40, 70, 25, 5% is not collected, and it should be written somewhere that the uncollectible is bad, not mentioned. So clearly it is bad debt. We just need to focus on what we will collect. All right. In April, now, if you sell 625,000 worth of good in April, 20% of this will be collected immediately as cash sales. So 625 is 20%. It is going to be 125,000. The remaining is credit sales, and out of this credit sales, 30% is collected within April. So 625,000 times 80% times 30%, it gives you 150. So we have two numbers in red color. First is 125,000. The remaining is 150,000. These red are the collections made from the sale made in April. Now let's go back to March. Let's say in blue color. What you sell in March, 80% of this is credit, and of this credit, you collect 30% in March. Now you're going to collect 40% of this. Now 40% of this amount, 700,000 is 80% first. That's the credit sale. Out of this, 40% is cash collected in the month of April. That is 224. Now we still have to go just 1 month back. Let's go in black color. What you sell in February, 80% of this is credit, and out of this 80% credit, you are going to collect the remaining 25%. And after that, what is remaining is bad debt. 650,000 multiplied by 80% multiplied by 0.25, so that gives you 130. So if you add all these, you should get your answer. 125, 150, 224, and 130 gives you a total of 629, and which nicely matches with your option B. So you have to be a little careful while you're doing the calculation. You see, I have fumbled on a couple of questions because of some mistake in the calculations. So it's just that you practice more, you will refine your understanding more. And here you go, 629 is your answer. Right, so this is done for, this was the all the questions related to cash collections. Let me show you where we stand right now. We have done all the difficult and easier question of cash collections. Let us do a couple of questions of cash disbursements. The cash payment, how do we estimate how much cash do we have to pay? There's a good question coming, which is the next part to the same question. It's basically an asset type question. And now we are interested in the disbursement part. Okay, now the same scenario, but we are now interested in the payment side. And let me bring you what is required here. The total cash disbursements, the payments, this company will make for the operating expenses, that is expenses other than the cost of goods sold during the month of April. Now, how much cash we are going to pay in April? The information on the left of your screen relates to all your cash sales or credit sales. This is the specific part of the information that we are interested. We need to calculate how much cash we are going to pay in April. Right, April. This is important because you might lose the focus. There are many different payments with different payment pattern, but do not forget we need the payments to be made in April. Now, read the information with me. It says the variable operating expenses other than the cost of goods sold for company are 10% of sales and are paid for in the month following sale. This is the first expense here. Variable operating expenses. Let me write this down here. Variable operating expenses. It says it is 10% of sales and are paid for in the month following sale. We are specifically interested in April, what we will pay in April. So what you will pay in April depends upon what you sell in March. You sell $700,000 goods in March, and 10% of this is estimated to be our variable operating expenses, which is 70,000. And this is what you will pay in April, because the language is quite clear. Variable operating expenses are 10% of sales, 70,000, and are paid for in the month following sale. If you sell in March, you pay it in April. So this is our first payment in April, 70,000. Right, next. It further says that the annual fixed operating expenses are presented below. These are the fixed expenses. All of these are incurred uniformly throughout the year and paid monthly. All of these are paid monthly, except for insurance. There is some adjustment for insurance, for which he says that insurance is paid quarterly. Insurance is paid on quarterly basis. It means paid 4 times in a year. And the next thing is property taxes. Insurance is paid quarterly in January, April, July, and October. We are interested in April. Right, and further, property taxes are paid twice a year. Property tax is another item. It is paid twice a year, I mean 2 times in 1 year. Okay, when? In April and October. Exactly, that's what we are interested in the month of April. Now let us come one by one. Advertisement, 720,000. It is a yearly expense. Since we are talking only for the month of April, so we are going to divide it with 12 so that we get the monthly expense. 720,000 divided by 12, it is going to be 60,000. Done. Then depreciation, it's a non-cash expense. You can simply cross this out. We do not pay any cash for depreciation. Next, insurance. Insurance, 180 is an annual expense. Since we make the payment quarterly basis, so you need to divide it with 4, which will give you, I believe, 45,000. 45,000 is paid in Jan, 45 in April, 45 in July, 45 in October, every quarter, which means since April is the relevant month we are talking about, so you will take 45,000 here. Property tax is 240. They are paid twice a year. This is the annual amount, means divided by 2. So which means every single payment is of 120,000. First is paid in April, second in October. So we are interested in April. So we will consider this 120 here. And lastly, salaries. Pretty straightforward, an annual figure, which you must divide by 12 to get the monthly number. 108,000 divided by 12 gives you a monthly number of 90,000. Now these are the expenses we will incur in April. If you add all these, 70 plus 60 plus 45 plus 120 plus 90, gives you a total of 385. So this is the total amount we are going to pay in the month of April. This is how we estimate the disbursements. What is the total cash payment we are going to make in a certain month? Collections, you've got a lot of quality questions. This is how we do the disbursement. There are many questions following in which we'll further discuss the disbursements. Okay, so right now here we have C to be the correct option, 385. Okay. So we have done a question on projected cash disbursement. Just one question. There are many questions coming from cash budget, and there will be many disbursements you will see. So remember, you will get questions on PCC, 2 at least, and PCDS very rare. But if you ask me, do we get question on MCQs to drop the cash budget? Not possible. Cash budget takes time, it's long, but still you need to know how the cash budget is made, where on monthly basis we see what are the inflows, what are the outflows, and based upon these, we estimate what is the closing balance, what is the net change in cash balance. Let's do the cash budgeting questions. All right, so here we go. Starting from question number 6. This we will do later. First, you need to jump on to question number 6. This one. The cash budget must be prepared before completing what? Capital. See, let me take you back. This was the best place to see. Now look at this. This is the cash budget. It says you need to prepare cash budget before you complete what? Balance sheet, because cash budget's closing number will be shown in the current assets on the balance sheet. So that is why if you have the cash budget, only then you can prepare the budgeted balance sheet. Budgeted balance sheet cannot be prepared without the cash balance. So that should be your answer. It says the cash budget must be prepared before completing balance sheet, forecasted balance sheet or budget balance sheet. Sales budget is one of the first budgets, so it doesn't get affected by cash budget. Production budget is way up. Capital budget is unrelated to these. It's a separate budgeting activity. So clearly it's a sale budget. Next question we have is question 16. A firm develops an annual cash budget for what? In order to support the preparation of its cash flow statement for the annual report. This is wrong, because cash budget is based upon the budgeted numbers, whereas the cash flow statement is prepared based upon the actual numbers. This is wrong. A firm prepares annual cash budgets in order to ascertain which capital expenditures projects are feasible and which capital expenditure projects should be deferred. Cash budget doesn't determine the feasibility. This is done in capital budgeting. That's an area you will do in your CMA Part 2, Section E, investment analysis. It is totally ridiculous option. Cash budget is prepared in order to determine the opportunity cost of alternative sales and production strategies. Wrong. Cash budget is not used to determine the opportunity cost. In fact, cash budget is drawn up to see in which months we have the shortage of cash for which we will have to go for financing, and in which month we will have excess cash which we will invest to earn money, right? So we develop cash budget in order to avoid the opportunity cost of non-invested excess cash. If you hold excess cash and if you keep on holding with you in your checking account or in your office, it is causing you a loss, because you could have put this cash in some bank and you could have made some interest income on this. So not making money out of that cash is called the opportunity cost. You are sacrificing interest income. So we want to avoid this excess cash, and we want to avoid the cash shortage so as not to run for the money from the bank. So this is the reason why we draw the cash budget, that we want to see where we have surplus, where do we have shortage. Now let's move on to question number 27. Now, the controller of Nottingham Stores has asked a staff accountant to prepare a detailed report that summarizes the firm's cash flows for the upcoming accounting period and cash position at the end of the period. Accordingly, the controller has requested preparation of cash budget, a pro forma cash flow statement, a pro forma statement of cash flows, a detailed listing of cash collections from customers, and a detailed listing of cash payments for merchandise for the purchases. Okay. Now, which of the following correctly identifies the first and last document to be prepared by the accountant? Remember, let me take you back. In the financial budgets, the first schedule we draw up is the projected cash collections, where we will get how much cash. These are all the cash inflows. This will become the foundation of your cash budget. Cash budget gives the input to prepare the balance sheet, and from balance sheet we draw the cash flow statement. So the first one is the cash collection schedule, first one in this flow, and the last one is the cash flow statement. If you apply the same principle, the first would be the listing of cash collection, which you call the projected cash collection schedule, or what you call the PCCS. And the last one is the pro forma statement of cash flows. So look no further. This is the perfect combination as we saw from that slide. Now, moving on to the next question. Now we are interested in drawing up our cash budgets. This is the kind of question that might require you to draw up the complete cash budget. Now listen, you need to read the information carefully, because it says, given the above information, the projected change in cash during the quarter. How much cash has changed during the quarter means the cash inflows and outflows. We have to see the cash inflows and the cash outflows during the period. Let me first erase this. Okay, now let's read the information. Cooper's company's management team is preparing a cash budget for the coming quarter. Remember, what is the requirement? Given the above information, the projected change in cash during the coming quarter. How much cash comes in and how much cash goes out? Is there net in or net out? That's what you have to find. You don't have to find the closing balance. Important. You don't have to find the closing balance. How much will you receive? How much will you pay? Net amount is to be carried, whether it's net negative or positive. Right? So that's the point here. So Copper Company's management team is preparing a cash budget for the coming quarter. The following budgeted information is under review. This is the planned sales for the month of Jan, Feb, March. This is the planned purchase, Jan, Feb, March. These are the operating expenses. Now, the company expects to collect 40% of its monthly sales in the month of sale and 60% in the following month. So collection pattern is pretty straightforward. You get 40% in the month of Jan and remaining 60% in Feb, and so on. It further says 50% of inventory purchases are paid in the month of purchase and 50% in the following month. So what you buy, half of the amount you pay in Jan, half in Feb. What you buy in Feb, half of it is paid in Feb, half in March. Okay. And then it says the last line, all payments for other expenses are incurred or are made in the month incurred. So if you incurred 150,000 expenses in Jan, you pay this in the same month. You incurred 175,000 expenses in Feb, you pay the same amount in the same month. Okay. So if this is the case, don't find what is the closing cash balance. Just tell us what is the change in cash over the period, how much net positive or negative will there be. So we are going to first write down all the ins, and then side by side we'll write all the outs. First of all, the account receivable that is outstanding at the start of the period, you will collect these. Then at the start of the period, you have these accounts payable, you will pay them. Account receivables will be collected, accounts payable will be paid within the quarter. Okay. Now, what you sell in January, some of it is collected in Jan, some in Feb, which means it's fully collected. This 700,000 is fully collected. This is your Jan sales. I'm going to write as J sales, fully collected. What you sell in February, 40% in Feb, 60% in March, which means it is fully collected. So Feb sale is fully collected. So write this down exactly as it is. Okay. Now what you sell in March, you will only collect 40% of this amount, because the remaining 60% will be collected in April. This is beyond what we are doing. So just take March sale and you're going to take just the 40% of the amount, which is 500,000, 40%. That is $200,000. Okay, done. All inflows taken. Now, what about the purchase? You bought $350,000 worth of goods in Jan. Half of this would be paid in Jan, half in Feb. So which means full Full amount is paid within the quarter, so I'm going to write the complete amount 350. This is the purchase in Jan. Then what you buy in Feb, half is paid in Feb, half in March, means it is paid within the quarter, so I'm going to write this full amount 425. But what you bought in March, you will only pay 50% of this amount in March, 50% will be paid in April, and this is beyond our calculation. So just take 2 to 5, 50%, which is 112,500. Okay, and the last thing, it says that the expenses are paid in the same month in which they are incurred. So which means these three amounts are paid within the quarter, Jan in Jan, Feb in Feb, March in March. So I'm just going to add all these and write a single amount here. So it's going to be 150, 175, and 175. So it's going to be 500, complete $500,000. So now I'm going to add up all the ins and outs. First, adds up all the ins. It's 300,000 plus 700,000 plus 800,000 plus 200,000. That gives me $2 million. These are the inflows. And what are the outflows? 500 plus 350 plus 425 plus 112.5 plus 500. What I get is 1.887500. These are the outflows. These are the inflows. If you take the difference, inflows are more, outflows are less. By what amount? By 112,500, which means you will have the increase in cash balance of this much during the period. Please remember, I did not consider, I totally ignored the opening cash balance. Why? Because the question says the projected change in cash. Change in cash is 112,500 because you received 2 million, you paid 1,887,500. So this is the net change. Listen to me very carefully, gentlemen. If the question says, what is the closing balance of the cash at the end of the quarter? You will take the opening balance, which is $100,000. You will take the net change in minus out, which is 112,500. You will add this up and you will have the closing balance, which is 212,500. Luckily, it's not given here. So this is the answer if the question required, what is the closing balance? Since here we are just required to find out what is the change in cash balance, so it's going to be 112,500. It was a good question. Now, next question is on the similar lines, but here you are required to find out how much money do we need to borrow. It's a good question again from exam point of view. Okay. It says Monroe Products is preparing a cash forecast based on the following information. This is the projected sales, December, January, February, March. We have been given 4 months sales. All sales are on credit and collected the month following sale. This is good. What you sell in December, the whole amount is collected in January. What you sell in January, the whole amount is collected in Feb. What you sell in Feb, the whole is collected in March. That's nice. All sales are on credit and collected the month after the sale. Purchases are 60% of next month's sales. Means what we buy is 60% of next month's sales and are paid for in the month of purchase. Means we buy next month's sales. Like if I have to sell something in February, I will buy that in January, and that would be 60% of the February sale. The payment of this is made in the same month. If I buy goods in January, I will pay in Jan. If I buy good in February, I will pay in Feb. That's I mean you pay in the same month in which you buy. Further, it says other monthly expenses are 25,000, including 5,000 for depreciation. So this is interesting. Depreciation is a non-cash expense, and 25,000 is total expense. We do not pay any cash for depreciation. So that means we must exclude this 5,000 from here. We will just take 20, not 25. Now, it says if the beginning cash balance is 30,000 in January, and Monroe is required to maintain a minimum cash of 10,000, at least that should be the closing balance. How much short-term borrowings will be required at the end of February? Just at the end of February. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw up a combined Jan plus Feb, all the inflows in Jan, Feb, and all the outflows together with the opening balance. I must start with the opening balance. Why? Because in this question, it says how much you have to borrow if you have to have a closing balance of 10,000. So since the balance is needed, so I have to take the opening balance also. So what is the opening balance? 30,000. Start from 30,000. $30,000 is your opening cash balance. Now, look at this. We are just taking all the inflows, outflows in Jan, Feb. What you sell in December, you will collect in Jan. What you sell in Jan, you collect in Feb, which is the same month we are discussing, the same period. But what you sell in Feb, it's collected in March. March is beyond our computation. So just kick this out. Okay, now let's take the expenses, which are pretty straightforward. Monthly expenses are 25,000, including 5 depreciation, which means just 20,000 is to be considered. So 20,000 for Jan and 20,000 for Feb. Now, little twisted thing that you need to take care of is the purchase. Now, listen to me very carefully. This line says purchases are 60% of next month's sales and are paid for in the month of purchase. Fine. How much cash we are going to pay in Jan depends upon what is the sales expected in February. As per the information given, the expected sale in February is 350 and 60% of this is our purchase price. So 350,000, 60% is 210. This 210 is what we purchase in Jan and we pay in the same month, because the question says payments are made for in the month of purchase. Now, next, what we are going to sell in March, 400,000. 60% of this amount represents our purchase price, which is 400,000 times 60%, that's 240. This $240,000 is what we have to pay within Feb, because that's when we buy the goods. So this 240 will be shown as a negative. Now, this time we are taking the opening balance also. So going to be 30 plus 200 plus 200. So the total plus is 430,000. If you take on the other side, if you add these all, it's going to be 20 plus 20 plus 210 plus 240. It gives you 490. See, basically I am short of 430 less 490. I have a negative balance of 60,000. Negative balance. How much more money do I need? If I take just 60,000 only, this 60,000 plus 60, I will have nil balance. I don't need nil balance. My balance has to be at least 10,000. My balance has to be a minimum of $10,000, which means I should borrow 70. Because if I borrow 70, this 70,000 plus will neutralize this negative 60. And at the end, I will have 10,000. And that is exactly what I need as my closing balance. So that is the reason B is your right answer. We have another question of similar nature, but this one is little different. Resume. Now, this is again an interesting question of cash flow. The Mountain Mule company is in first year of its business, means there is no opening cash balance, opening receivable or payable. Mountain Mule had a beginning cash balance of 85 for the quarter. That's the starting cash they have for the business. The company has 50,000 of short-term line of credit. We can borrow from our bank up to this limit. The budgeted information for the first quarter is shown below. Sales for 3 months, purchase for 3 months, operating expenses. All sales are made on credit and are collected in the second month following sale. Now, this is different. Second month following sale means whatever you sell in Jan is not collected in Feb. It is collected in the second month following sale. Means what you sell in Jan, it is collected in March. What you sell in Feb, it is collected in April. Second month following the sale. So purchases are paid in the month following the purchase. If you buy goods in Jan, you pay in Feb. If you buy goods in Feb, you pay in March. 1 month later. While operating costs are paid in the month that are incurred. How much will Mountain Mule need to borrow at the end of the quarter if the company needs to maintain a minimum cash balance of 5,000? If we have to have this much cash balance, then how much do we have to borrow at the end of the quarter as required by the loan covenant agreement? Loan covenant agreement means the condition in the loan has to be followed. Now, gentlemen, lovely question. What you're going to do in this, since we need for the whole quarter, I'm going to combine all the Jan, Feb's, and March cash flows. Let us have a bigger place for writing. So I need to write Jan Feb above so that I have sufficient space to write. So I'm going to take all these Jan plus Feb plus March all together. All the ins I will write here, all the outs I will write here. Okay, first start with it says that whatever you sell, it is collected second month after the sale, second month following the sale. So what you sell in Jan, and don't forget you also have an opening cash balance of 85. So write this 85 in blue color here. This is the opening cash balance. What you sell in Jan, it is collected in March. So what you sold in Jan will be collected within this period, but write it here. Or what you sell in Feb comes in March, in April, March comes in May. So it means these two won't be collected within this period. That's the problem. Now, further, it says the purchases are paid in the month following the purchase. You bought goods in Jan, you pay in Feb. You bought goods in Feb, you pay in March. But what you buy in March, it is paid in April. So it means we won't pay this much. Only these two first payments are to be made. So it's going to be 35,000, 25,000. That's all. And then further, operating cost is 25, 25, 25, and there is no mention of any depreciation or anything like that, which means these three combined means 75,000 has to be paid for the whole quarter. Now, if you take your inflows plus the opening balance is 85 plus 50, it's 135. That's what we have on the debit side of the cash flow or the cash budget. And if you total the credit, it's 35, 25, and 75. It's 135. See, 135 opening, 135 closing. So what does it mean for us is that we are short of how much? We need to have a minimum of cash balance of 5,000 at the end of the period. I don't think, if I remember, it's not 5,000. Okay, so I'm going to do it in a different way because I might have missed some calculations here. My result is not telling with the options given. This is the opening cash I have 85 plus I will receive only this 60 and this Feb sale will come in April. So I will receive only this 60. 85 plus 60 gives me 145. Maybe I wrote 135 there. So these are the info figures. What are my payments? I'm going to make all these payments 35 and 45, 35 and 40. These are for the goods bought. And these 25, 25, 25, 75, these payments are to be made. So which means I will have an inflow of 145, but I have to make a payment of 150, which means I will have a negative 5,000 cash balance. But as per the agreement of the loan, I should have a 5,000 cash balance at the end of the quarter, which means I must borrow $10,000 because if I borrow 10, only then I will have 5,000 positive. That was the important point. So that is the reason I was worried. 5 is not the answer. It has to be 10. That is what you should borrow, and that is what makes C to be the correct option. Okay, now again, a question involving cash budget, but this one is pretty extended, involving complete 1 year. Ward Corporation's current year end sales total 240. What we are required to do? Let us read the requirement also. It says, if Ward's policy is to have a minimum 10 million cash available at the beginning of each year, its budgeted cash flow projection indicate that it will need outside financing of how much money do we have to borrow in order to meet the loan conditions. So let us put our workings in order. Let us take all the inflows and outflows. Ward Corporation current year end sales is 240. That's the current year sale, and its ending cash balance is 20 million. We are going to project for the next period. This is the closing balance of last year, and it will be the opening balance of current year, $20 million. All right. Ward anticipates that its sales for the upcoming year will be 260. Last year it was 240. On average, 10% of the year's sales will be collected during the following year. What does it mean? Last year, 240 million sale was made, and 90% of that was collected last year. Now we are going to collect 10% of this amount, which means 10% to 10% to 40 million, 24 million will be received in the current period. Now, the current year sale is 260. And as per our collection experience, 90% of this amount will be collected under the current period and 10% in the next year. So 260 is 90%. That is what we will collect. 260 is 90%. That is 234. That is what we are going to collect in the current period, 234. These are all inflows. Now, if you go forward, assume Ward has no uncollectible accounts. Ward also anticipates cash expenses of 240 million and a depreciation of 5 million. Depreciation is ignored because it's a non-cash expense. During the year, Ward intends to spend 30 million cash for capital improvements. This is the planned capital expenditure outflow. If Ward policy is to have a minimum 10 million cash available, this is what our closing balance should be at the beginning of each of the year or the closing of the year. Its budgeted cash flow projection indicate that it will need outside financing of how much cash would you need to meet this loan agreement. If you add all these, it's going to be 20 plus 240 plus 234. It is 494. 20 and 24. No, it's not 240. Let me add this 20, 24 and 234. It is 278. 278. This is your in, and if you see the outs, it's 270. Now, in is 278, out is 270. So we will have only the $8 million in the closing balance, which is not acceptable because as per the question, as per the requirement, we should have 10 million as a closing balance, which means we are short of 2 million and we must borrow 2 million to cover our shortfall. And that is the reason B is the right answer. So gentlemen, that was your cash budgets. I've taken some stiff questions just to convey the idea. So we have done PCCS, we have done cash budgets, and just a little touch of these pro forma income statements that just need to, because this is the area where you're most likely to be tested, especially this one. Projected cash collections, production and material. These are his favorite areas: production, material purchase, and the cash collections. But still we have covered the other areas as well, so as not to give any chance to the examiner to put us in trouble. Now, we need to, let me just give you the idea what basically is the pro forma. I told you at the very start, pro forma balance sheet is the budgeted balance sheet based upon these numbers. Pro forma cash flow statement is the budgeted cash flow statement based upon the assumed numbers, right? Since we cannot draw up these statements, so it's unlikely you might be tested on it. But what you need to remember that if we change anything, if we change any sales number, it will affect all the budgets. Sales changes affect everything, not only cash budget, but the balance sheet, cash flows, as well as your income, everything. So that's what we need to learn, that our final pro forma balance sheet, cash flows and income statement, they are affected by the changes in the numbers in our operational budgets and financial budgets. So that's what you need to remember. And this is the idea here. Now look at this. This is a pretty long question. And if you can decrease the size of the text to medium, it will be little manageable now. Now look at this. Big question. Instead of just start reading all the questions requirement, just look at what is given in the end. Superdrive's projected gross profit for the month. Okay. So we need gross profit. How we can find gross profit? We need sales. We need some percentage. Only then we will have some basic numbers to work upon. If you just look at this, and we just need for the month of December, for the month, we need gross profit for the month of December alone. That means we just need the sales for December. We need the cost of sales for December, and this would help us solve the question. This is given right here. Sales for December is 500. Sales but 520 for December, yes, and 500,000 for Jan. So this is the planned sales or budgeted sales for December. What else we need? Cost of sales. Look at this. It says cost of sales is 80% sales. Means 80% of the sales is your cost of sales. See, we didn't have to read the whole question. We just got the required information. 416,000 is your cost of sales. If you deduct 520 and 416 from it, What you get is gross profit. $104,000 is your gross profit, because we know sales minus cost of sales is your gross profit, and that makes B to be your correct option. Next, again, see, it's a big question. Apparently, it's a big question. What are we required to do? Cali's pro forma income statement before income taxes. For which period? For December. So if you need to calculate the income, budgeted income, what we need is the budgeted sales figure for December. We need the budgeted cost of sales. We need the budgeted expenses, and then we can simply find the profit. So let us do this and see what information is further given. That's all. I think that's what we have. That's all. So for the month of December, take in the numbers here. We have sales 220 for December. This is our starting point. Sale is given. You should start from sales. You should start from sales. So sales is given for December is $220,000. Next is the cost of goods sold, CGS. Do we have any information for CGS? Not CGS. He has given us straight away that the gross profit margin is 25%. And I'm sure you remember from our previous studies, if 25% gross margin, then 75% is the cost of sales, right? So 75% of sales is cost of sales. 220s, 75%, that is 165. This is your cost of sales. If you deduct cost of sales from sales, you will get your gross profit, which is 55,000. If you wish, you can calculate this number directly by multiplying 25% with the sales figure 220. 220 is 25%. Will give you the exact same number, 55,000. Okay, now we have the gross profit, but we don't need gross profit. We need the pro forma income from before taxes, income or loss before taxes. So it means we're talking about operating income. So what else do we have? It says that other expected monthly expenses are 22,600. Does it include depreciation? Let's read. No, depreciation is given separately. So okay, so then you can deduct these expenses. This expense is 22,600. Then this is the annual depreciation. Of course, it must be divided with 12 so as to calculate give us the monthly depreciation. 216 upon 12 gives you 18,000. 18,000 is the depreciation we should charge. Now there is one very fine point, which if you have read the question fully, you will know. If you read this line, let me first raise this. Look at this. Collection are expected to be 60% in the month of sale and 38% in the following month sale. 60 plus 38 is 98. 2% of the sale is not collected. 2% of the sale is not collected, it goes bad. Which means what you are selling in December, 2% of this amount will not be collected. It will go bad. So you must write this as an expected bad debt expense, because this is the December sales. So December sales and December bad debt, they must be in the same period. So 220,000 times 2%, it is 4,400. So from this gross profit, deduct expenses, depreciation, and 4,400, you should get your net profit. Let's say 55,000 less 22,600 less 18,000 and less 4,400. It gives you an exact nice rounded number of 10,000. This is your pro forma income before taxes for December, and that matches with your option C. And C it is. Then we have another question here, what it says. In November, a company finalized its budget for the upcoming calendar year. In December, the decision was made to acquire new equipment in January. We want to purchase a new equipment. Let's increase the font size for clarity. We want to acquire a new equipment in January by trading in old equipment and financing the amount due by a loan with the principal and interest due at the end of year 3. What the whole situation is. For the coming year, we want to acquire a new equipment. But for this new equipment, we will give our old equipment to them. It's like an exchange. We will give our old equipment to them, take the new equipment, and money for the new equipment will come from a loan. And on that loan, we will pay some principal and interest. Principal will be paid after 3 years and interest would be paid regularly. Let me read this requirement again. Financing the amount due by loan with the principal and interest due at the end of 3 years. All right. So means you are going to acquire a new equipment for which you are going to give your old equipment, and the amount would be paid with the principal and interest after 3 years. Out of pocket, so which means no cash is involved. This machine is coming cash free because the payment of this money will be paid after 3 years interest and the principal, and we are going to give our old equipment. So no cash transaction up to this point, but still cash is there. Out of pocket cost to operate the machinery would not change. We will have to pay cash whether it's a new machine or old machine because the running expenses have to be paid. This decision would change which of the company's budgeted financial statement for the upcoming year. This is an interesting question. Pro forma financial statement. Since we are going to acquire new machinery without paying cash, so this decision will affect which of these financial statements. Since a new machine is to be purchased, it will affect your budgeted balance sheet. New machine is going to be purchased, it will affect your income statement. Depreciation will go up. Since new machine is going to be purchased and higher depreciation is reported in operating section of your statement of cash flows, so this will be affected. So these three will be affected: budgeted balance sheet, income statement, and statement of cash flows. I told you when we make certain changes in sales or anything, it will affect many components of your balance sheet, your pro forma financial statement, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement. That is the idea, that any assumption or any number is changed, it will affect the other components or other schedules of budget. So that makes C to be the correct option. And gentlemen, that ends the lecture for today.